kamikaze.
I remember many times I was with Bishop John Shadid, and someone asked me, what do I remember? It's nothing really especially spiritual, but we were driving to Camarillo from Los Angeles. And as you know, Bishop Shadid was doing the driving, and I was a little bit nervous. As we rounded those curves going down to Camarillo, oh my God, I said the astral contusion 15 times, hoping and praying that I'd get to the bottom. If I didn't, I hope the good Lord would send me upstairs.
There are times I used to come in the morning, attend Mass, serve the Mass, and after Mass go have breakfast with Father in the room. So one day he was in a good mood. His housekeeper, she used to boil the egg for him from the minute he got dressed to go say the Mass until the Mass is over with. Mercedes, why you cook it so much? He likes it hard. And then one day he asked her, Mercedes, why don't you preach to me? He said, yes, Father, how you want it? Fried, baked? I used to have my oldest daughter, her name's Mary Ann. Bishop used to love to come and tease her. And one day he came into the house and he's got money in his pocket, coin. I was jingling with him. And he said, Mary Ann, here, do you know what to do with this? He said, oh, I have a piggy bank. So she went and got her piggy bank. He put the coin in her piggy bank. So the second day, he came in, he said, where is your piggy bank? She got her piggy bank. The third day he came in, he was waiting for him with her piggy bank at the top of the stairs. She didn't wait for him to ask for it, so she had it. Here it is. She gave him the piggy bank to put his coin with it. So my wife told him, yes, Father. On Sunday, we put them in the collection, and during the week, you give them to our daughter.
I remember my first friends where we climbed the church tower. There were two little boys and myself. This occurred in the Second World War. We would climb the tower on this wooden ladder and then throw a toy parachute to the steps below. Father Nijam found out and scolded us and then turned us over to our fathers, where we got some atles that we never forgot. When I was 17 years old, I remember meeting this teenage girl, and we were asked to play a game of ping pong. Years later, she became my first girlfriend.
My wish for the Maronite Church is to grow like the sand, the grain of sands on the ocean.
I wish for our Maronite Church to grow stronger and stronger.
Growth, strength, and dynamic church.
That the Maronites have the freedom to practice their faith in Lebanon. I wish that they continue our tradition, our history.
Well, I wish that in 90 years, your replacement and my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren will be having the same discussion we're having.
My wish for the future of our community is that our children and grandchildren do not forget the struggle that all of us have gone through.
Well, I couldn't ask for anything better. Our parents came from there, and they were born and raised there. So we carried on from there here, or my wife and I both gave the legacy to them.
My wish at the local level is to get all the Maronite back into our community, into our church. Like the wish of father in the family and mother to have all the children around them. Also like the whole Maronite community to be around the church, to grow and to make sure the faith that they've learned, that were baptized in, to live it on their daily life, and to reach out to others as well, welcome them and tell them this is church open to everybody. I would like to see more parishes, more missions. Like we branched out a couple parishes out of our parish, St. John Maron in Orange County, St. Jude, St. Peter and Paul. Worldwide, I like to see the Maronite Church really strong, faithful, rooted in her faith and in her heritage, and to show it to others. It's not like something, just keep it for yourself. It's a treasure that we need to share it with others. And the more we share it, the treasure will grow and become more precious and more valuable.
I wish and pray that the Maronite people we will always remain or try to be united as much as they can and forget about their own personal interest and focus on the most precious gift that St. Maron left for them, which is the gift of faith, the Christian Catholic faith, and at the same time the gift of freedom and dignity.
My friends, the Maronite Church has always been for me a jewel among all the churches of the East. Its origin was unique, and truly it's a gift of martyrs and saints that have made this church so special. It's an example for the church and a remarkable tale to tell. And the Maronite Church is really here to stay. We have no fears. It is here to stay. I would also ask that the Maronite Church, I feel, should always remain as an example for all of the churches. And I pray that the Maronites realize what a gift it is to be a member of the Maronite Church. We're fortunate and we're blessed to be a member of the unique Maronite Church. God bless you and thank you.
بيسعدني وجه تحية مجددا لرعيتنا بلوس أنجلوس، تحية بمناسبة 90 سنة على تأسيس الرعية، وبدي حيي سيادة المطران روبرت شاهين مطران الأبرشية، وبدي حيي أبونا عبد الله زيدان كاهن الرعية، وكل الآباء اللي عم بيعاونوا، وكل الجهاز الرعوي والإداري بالرعية. سبق وعم قول بجدد التحية، هلأ بنجددها بالصوت من بعد ما كتبنا وتحيتنا والبركة وصلاتنا والتهنئة برسالة خاصة. بقى اليوم نحن كمان أجمل نقولها بالصوت الحي. إن شاء الله بتكون هاليوبيل 90 سنة يحمل كل ثمار الروحية، ازدهار الرعية والنمو بالإيمان. نحن وكمان الروابط العميقة بين جالياتنا بلوس أنجلوس بالولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وسواها، رباطها مع لبنان رباط روحي، رباط تعاوني، رباط مؤازرة، رباط وطني. ونحن بنتذكر الزيارة الحلوة اللي قمنا فيها، زيارة رعوية قمنا فيها إلى لوس أنجلوس، حافظين بالقلب وبالخاطر كل الذكريات الحلوة، كل الأشخاص اللي التقيناهم.
The Maronite Church in Los Angeles is and has been since its inception not only a place of worship, it was really the connection between the Lebanese immigrant and their home country of Lebanon. For us, it was not only a place where we can come to worship our God, it was a place where we can renew the traditions and cultures of Lebanese society. I'm one of the old-timers. When I first came to Los Angeles about 1950, we had a very small church on the east side of Los Angeles near Alameda and Sunset.
اسمي حنا مخويل موسى أبي حنا، إمري أنا 98. أنا خالي هاوني، و Father Mushi was the pastor here. Bayetna started the church.
Actually, Pshali society is like 5 years older than Our Lady of Mount Lebanon.
Yeah, right.
Right.
They are the founders of the church.
Well, we used to go on Brooklyn. Now it was a Jewish area, and that's where the church was started.
I used to admire the old-timers who used to live from one week into the other to come to the church, and it was just a pleasure to see them, how proud they were of their achievements. Also to see them how proud they are of the parish and the growth of the parish.
The church was built in 1923, and my parents, Tom and Nahil Tedros, were pioneers that helped in funding the church, and they taught us at an earlier age after I was born how close the church was to us. and what it meant to them. And over the years, I've tried to adhere to what they taught me, and I pass this on to my children.
Initially, we struggled to bring our kids to the church, but now the kids brings us to the church. It means my parents pass my heritage to me, and I need to pass it to my kids, and that's how we live. If I don't pass my faith to my kids and my tradition and my values to my kids, what good is it? We stop, we die.
Our children, very important, very important. They went to church at St. Mary's in a private Catholic school church, and then they went to Our Lady of Mount Lebanon. 8 o'clock they went to St. Mary's, 11 o'clock to Our Lady of Mount Lebanon, and they enjoyed it.
My name is Anthony Vincent Zaheni, and I go by Tony Vincent, which most people know me by. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Came to Los Angeles in about when I was 18 and a half years old. That would be many, many moons ago. As a contractor, that developed later in life. But as a dancer, that brought me to the West Coast from Cincinnati, Ohio. And that dancing carved its way into the intellectual areas of life, music, art, appreciating people from a different level, and most of all, it became my international language. When I first went to the Lebanese church here in Los Angeles, it was located newly in that location where it now stands, and to this date, at San Vicente and Burton Way. In those days it was Bishop Shadid and a great deal of the Lebanese priests from the old country. I had a very close, quick relationship. It brought a different horizon to my thinking. It brought my roots more in focus, although my mother and father were very much part of my life in learning the values, the traditions, and most of all, the food, the gibbi, and all the great things that we have. But from the church's standpoint, it was canon law. It was the reason why Lebanon has stayed and has been so strong through so many centuries. And I've remembered one significant point. It is the last bastion of Christianity in the Middle East. And if we're not aware of that, and we don't fight for it, and we don't support it, then we're going to lose an item of life and spiritual strength that cannot be replaced. You cannot put a measuring stick on a country as small as Lebanon, but as powerful around the world as the Lebanese people have become.
The church has been our second home, not only for me, but for the whole family and the whole community. Also, it does represent roots, it does represent tradition, and it does represent values.
I've been coming here since 1989, so for 23 years. I have both my parents and I have two sisters.
Growing up in Our Lady of Mount Lebanon Church really means a lot to me. I was baptized in the church, I had my first communion there, and I grew up being inspired by Bishop John Steed, Father Zaidan, Father Elias, and Bishop Gregory Mansour when he was here. And I felt a real sense of family and community in the church, and I've learned so many values from being a part of this church.
I've been coming to this church since 1991, so that's over 22 years now. And I've been through several priests. My parents are still around and they come to church. I have a brother who's also involved with the church and a sister as well.
I'm Yvette Materi. I was born in Lebanon and came to the state in 1955. We ended up in Los Angeles, California in 1956, and I've been very much involved in in our church from the beginning.
My name is Janine Petro. I'm Yvette's sister. I got in 1958 to visit Yvette, and I ended up meeting my husband, and then we got married 2 months later. And I love my church. I have 4 sons, young men. They're married with families. They were all baptized Maronite by Bishop Shadid at that time.
I have 5 children. I have 14 grandkids from the age of 14 to 31. I'm very happy with them. They were all baptized in the church. At the beginning, it was Father Shadid, then Co-Bishop Shadid, then Bishop Shadid. They were all married. And matter of fact, we have funerals too. I just lost my son-in-law a year ago and my husband 12 years ago. And so we have lots of memories at the church, lots of memories.
Although my children attended Catholic school, we always came back to our Maronite church. They were baptized there, they're married there, and it all comes back to our Maronite faith in the end.
My name is Mauricio Agüez. I was raised as a Christian Maronite in Mexico by my parents, Mexican Lebanese. I'm a stand-up comedian here in Los Angeles, and I'm the baby of 4 women in my house. Being raised by a Maronite people in my house, it was very interesting. It allowed us to see the world different.
Maronite, follower of Saint Maron, an Eastern Rite of the Catholic Church. It's not only though, being part of the Catholic Church, it's for Lebanese more than that. It's a piece of Lebanon, it's a heritage, it's a culture. And with that follows lots of other things like our morals, our values. You could see a Maronite different than maybe another Lebanese because we follow the church in a way, and we follow the values of our Middle Eastern culture. Being Lebanese also is a little different than being a Middle Eastern, probably, because we are Maronite.
My name is Tony Dammit, and I was conceived in Shaley, Lebanon, and shortly after my parents arrived here in this country, I was born. That was 75 years ago. And it's hard to remember the first years of my life, but if I go back to my early days, I remember Our Lady of Mount Lebanon, the white church on Brooklyn Avenue. And I remember as a child playing in that church, looking at all the little corners, going into all the little tiny rooms. And at that time, the church seemed to be very, very large. But a lot of people now come to Our Lady of Mount Lebanon